Hello team, welcome back to another Line War cast. This is your map today. Relatively heavy on the water. Seems like the gases are spread out pretty evenly. Trade route in the south. Our two players are Romad, quantum scientist who is in blue, spawning on the right side of this little channel and bridging it. Two territories for blue on the left side of this body of water, and someone said that my nickname sucks, who we will refer to as nickname, spawning in red on the left side of the map. Romad's going for what looks to be like a very quick trade route. I'd assume by taking these positions, Romad wants to get this port up as soon as possible, building 4 barracks and 2 factories, I believe. These are 2 barracks and 1 factory on the left-hand side for nickname or for Romad. Nickname's going for 2 quick towns. This is a pre-built town with the first thing of the money. So it must have been town, airport, barracks, or whatever. Those are the first 3 buildings for nickname since they're all already completed with that pre-construction money. Going for commando drops immediately, which I definitely like. This is a great map for it, and we can see nickname's going to expand to the north across the water. And neither player will know that where the other one has spawned right now. Nickname going for a dock on this map. I personally like it. It's a little bit contentious right now whether docks are worth it, if boats are worth it. It seems to be a personal preference. It just lends itself to different play styles. Things that nickname can do with this dock are, for one thing, attack this town and the port to cut off the trade route if Romad decides to go for it, or even missile boats in this little bay will be great because if Romad puts down an airport on the right hand side, it'll be harder to defend these buildings. We'll see what the plan is. Nickname's going for a quick power plant because there actually is no oil for red that is readily available. This is the only one on this landmass. There's 2 in the back here, which is actually kind of nice for nickname. Except for, like, nickname would have to go for a dock here to take this, but there's actually 7 or 6 territories here. So it could be worth it. I don't know exactly how the math works out of whether you want to get a boat. The cost of a dock is 300. We could do the math on it. I'm not smart enough to do it. But over time, I'd suspect nickname will go for it because these 2 gases are super safe. And after this first gas, nickname really has no choice except to there's nothing even in the north. Nickname would have to start taking these gases or go over here. So that's something to watch. Power plant right away. In general, power plants, which if I go to Romad's view, I get the tooltip thing. Power plants are about like 1/3 as effective as refineries. Refineries being the ones that go on the gas. Well, refineries are not, or power plants are not nearly as efficient. In general, a refinery will make 24 oil per minute or energy per minute. Power plant 8 energy per minute. I don't know why this keeps switching without me touching anything. I guess it's just the replay thing. 400 income for Romad. 434 for someone said that my nickname sucks, who's opened up missile boat. I'm not I assume this was intentional, but nickname's got destroyers as the boat to try to cap this water, which is good because destroyers are the best, like on gas consumption and for how quick they cap territory. And here comes the first destroyer now for nickname. Romad's going for a mixture of SAMs and artillery out of this first factory. At this point, both players will be seeing. This is nickname's vision, so you can see that blue is coming into view. And same thing with Romad, who probably has more vision because there's more units here, and yes, there is. So Romad knows. Romad, in response, puts down another barracks, which I definitely like. I think another barracks or another factory is going to be equally as fine. For Romad, and they don't know it yet, maybe they suspect it, I'm not sure, but nickname has already dropped 2 commandos on the other side, which could cut into the amount of economy that Romad can cap without any resistance to the north of the map. If I had to pick someone's position to be in, I probably would like Romads just because I'm a sucker for trade routes. And this looks cool. And it's good economy. Trade route is worth 10 territories worth of income. If you can secure it and get the boats out, a territory, of course, being one of these squares or blocks on land. Nickname's going for a second airport, and strikers out of one airport and helicopters out of the other airport. Striker helicopter, not often a combination we see, but here will likely work pretty well. There's no planes for Romad, so Nickname doesn't need to get interceptors, unless Nickname would like to scout. Although, even from this airport, the scouting distance is this blue line for interceptors, so Nickname wouldn't really be able to get a good scout on the mainland anyway. And it's likely about to pop off. Bromad's kind of grouping up and getting most of the units along the coast, which is actually a great play. Because numbers-wise, Romad has a huge advantage here. And has the pushing potential. Nickname's dropping another barracks. Likely in response to how many units there are here, because the Nickname's really going to start seeing it. That there's like a decent amount of stuff. There's already 2 artillery pieces. Romad threw down their first airport. I think, yes, here it is, in the mountains. Interesting to see what Romad decides to build out of that airport. I almost want to say it's going to be like interceptors. Maybe helicopters. Certainly not bombers. 590 income for red. 569 for blue, so very close, as expected. In this matchup, both players quite good at the game. So these 2 infantry that were pulled off at the very beginning for Romad actually end up getting on the town, and this could kill the town over time if it weren't for Nickname's response time here, pulling the 3 infantry immediately and going to defend this. I don't believe that long of just 2 infantry are going to be able to clean this up. 2 more barracks for Nickname somewhere, and I assume they're over here, and they are. This is tough. I mean, that's a very good play from Red. Because it's so much economy. As long as Nickname can hold this push and not lose a ton of infrastructure, the 2 barracks on the other side of the map are going to come in clutch and be able to cap so much territory. With this many planes, Nickname's starting to run into the gas problem. Because it's really only 1 power plant, and like we discussed, a power plant is only a third as effective as refineries. And so with all the transport planes, the boats certainly can't be moving right now, and a helicopter and 2 strikers, this is a lot, and Romad very likely could take out this airport here. And I think numbers-wise, it's just going to happen. How many infantry does it take shooting at the tarmac to blow the airport up? We're about to find out. The beeping noise is Nickname running out of gas off of that 1 power plant. It must be a relatively intense moment for Red. Certainly there goes the airport. The destroyers are finally moving. But these, I mean, the transport planes can't fly. The striker now needs to go home because it's out of gas. I don't think it'll be able to land here, so the striker is just going to exactly eject, like they just said. And after all is said and done, Nickname's at 722 economy and Romad's at 749. Romad reinforcing with a forward factory. I like this play. I think Romad just wants to try to clear this, like put a lot of pressure on this side of the map. I wonder if Romad would know by this point that Nickname must have expanded. Probably. I mean, Nickname's on all 3 land masses in the north at this point. which is a super effective move and going to help with Nickname's economy. Because all of this land, very uncontested. Blue is not going to be on either of these land masses. This is all that will be contested, and there's 3 barracks already for Nickname up there. And as long as it's not an overextension and an overcommit to that side of the island, Red is going to be in a good spot. Romad is punishing it quite well. The airport was good. These 2 barracks likely going to go down, which would lead to the collapse of this town, this power plant. Potentially this town as well. Because production-wise, it's 2 factories and 3 barracks for Romad. And there's only 4 barracks on this side of the map for Nickname at this point. I mean, an airport is here, but Nickname is having a gas problem at the moment. The firecrackers and the infantry are attacking the town and will take it out. These are serviced air missile units, but they sound like little firecrackers, pardon me, when their machine guns are going off. It'll be a tough defense by Red here, because Romad's doing everything right, which is moving these units like around to get the town. That's super baller. Helicopters and strikers for Romad. The first helicopter, which is already on this landmass. And it's now going to be up to see how Nickname comes back in this game, because I will feel confident enough to say that Romad has the momentum. 881 income for Blue, 797 for Red. So income-wise, relatively even. But I think with all of the production and equipment that Romad's moving over here, Blue is going to be able to cap this part of the map, or at least heavily contest it. This will be very difficult for Blue to move into because it's in the mountains. Blue's units will move super slowly, which gives the defenders more time to attack, as we can see on the tooltip. And I suppose Red's going to be able to cap both of this, take the town and the port there, which will help. 3 barracks and one factory. Red definitely has enough production to make this very difficult for Blue, at least. If Nickname were to group up here, and maybe doesn't even require grouping up off of this much production, but yeah, here it is. So the Nickname's just going to group up here, and then with some artillery support, be able to push this back. So that will over time become a problem for Romad, but Romad is crushing here. There goes the town. Wonderful explosion. A wild card in this game is these 4 transport planes for Nickname and all of the commandos, because this could start just being like massive commando drops, and the range of this airport for Nickname is this red line, so it could be a drop onto this airport, onto the sub-pen, onto whatever. And Nickname is still quite good with commandos, so that could lead to like a lot of multitasking for Romad. The question for Nickname at this point, who continues to build boats, is where's the gas going to come from? And here's the answer. Nickname's going to top right side of the map gas, so it makes this position even more important. Romad theoretically could take this airport in the left here and make an airstrip that could start attacking it, maybe. But that's actually a relatively safe gas for Red. I wonder if this line of commandos is intentional. I mean, I guess it does defend the airport. You would almost expect this to be a defensive line. But I guess it does the same thing and then allows the, commandos to do this, which is at very short notice. Hop into the transport planes. Nickname's going for another... Oh, sorry, that's a port. Nickname's getting this port here. Great economy. After industry, which are these little... these are lumber camps. This is a mineral thing or something. a mine, I guess you would say. After those industries, ports are the next best economy you can get for the payoff, for the price. And this is not where I expected this drop to go. We can see Nickname's vision, so, I mean, none of this is scouted, so I guess this does make sense. And I don't think with 4 transport planes, this airport will be seen, but here goes the drop onto Romad's production, which serves 2 purposes. One is to make these commandos who are dropping in, give them a very intense moment in their lives. The other thing is that all of these units that have just come out of these production facilities can't start pushing forward. They have to deal with these commandos. And there's definitely enough from blue to do that. Multiple transport planes going down, and for 1 barracks this is likely not worth it. A second barracks maybe could get sniped, but probably not. So this next wave of reinforcements from blue is actually going to be thinner. It's going to take longer because these units weren't moving up the coast immediately. They had to stay home to defend this. And that may or may not allow Nickname to start to clean this up and push back. What would be huge for Nickname is if these missile boats were down here for this exchange. 922 income, 929, pardon me, for Nickname, and to over 1200 now for Romad. So this becomes, it's even more of a situation where it's going to be a tough comeback for Nickname. Romad's doing the perfect play here, which is reinforcing this position. There's 2 factories for red and 3 barracks, and now in total, I mean, there's 3 barracks rather, 1 factory, a 4th barracks near the front. Romad could even put down another factory here potentially. Here's this airstrip play that we were talking about. It doesn't quite get to the gas, but I think if you sent strikers right here, they would proc to the gas and be in range. This is a great fight to watch. If Romad can get air support up there, it would be huge because red doesn't have any SAMs quite yet. Here comes Nickname's play off of the mountains to try to start pushing back and reclaiming some of this. Nickname's further reinforcing. I mean, over time at this point, this is a lot of production for blue on this side of the map. And adding another airport here. Which is right here on the water as well. I mean, that's huge. That airport is... If this airport gets up and gets planes and doesn't die to some sort of dock play that red does, like, I can't imagine Nickname would be doing that at this point. But this could be very important. Nickname's also adding an airport of their own to the north. Romad certainly needs a grouping because these 5 artillery pieces are now starting to get together. 3 commandos on 1 artillery piece, they're going to be able to take 1 out under intense fire. They potentially can take 2 out. I guess they very easily take 2 out. And if Nickname had more of this infantry up in front of it, that wouldn't happen. But of course, there's a gazillion things going on in this game. I mean, look at how wide this front is, right? Both players are going to be jumping between these 2 things. It's kind of ironic that I said earlier about whether players kind of figure out, pardon me, if Navy is a good call. And we have 6 submarines and a handful of boats that have just stayed here the whole game. I mean, gas has been a problem for red, and this has been a very intense game so far. But really, I mean, if these boats were down here, they could be doing so much damage, I think. And even cutting off these reinforcements, making them, you know, spend time attacking boats. Both players seem to have the exact right number of helicopters here. Romad's at 1,300 income. Nickname's got themselves over 1k. And first SAMs coming out for Nickname is actually huge. If a good number of SAMs can show up here, a Nickname could really use them to push down south. I mean, Romad really only has 2 airports, which isn't a ton. So it's not like Nickname needs 3 dots of SAMs to be able to deal with it. Good counter push from blue, and just some unprotected artillery pieces. And this army is at risk of getting super encircled, because this is a lot of stuff for red now. Running off of 4 barracks, 1 factory. Romad has more units. I wonder how the trades have been going. Like, Romad has more production facilities. Nice snipe by that Sam. And Nickname, or Romad's also running out of gas. At this point. The subs moves. So here's 1 gas for Romad. There's a relatively safe 2nd gas that Romad could be taking. And there it is. What are we talking about? Perfect. So that will help Romad a little bit. And Nickname for his 2nd gas. Okay, so there's another power plant up in the north. I think this fight is mostly just who controls the trades better. Who keeps a little bit of a grouping. Who gets the massive artillery. I think for red it's important to keep the SAMs up here. There are at least 2 strikers, the 3rd one on the way. Bombers out of this airport, which I really like for Romad personally. I mean, we generally troll bombers for not being that effective, but in that situation, if Romad can get enough bombers, they'll be able to start picking off all these buildings, the gas. SAMs really aren't super effective against bombers once you get enough bombers. And that is because SAMs, when they're shooting their machine gun, like we can see here, that's when they do their most DPS. But they can't use their machine gun against bombers. They fly too high, so they can only use their little secondary missile, like the one that just killed that helicopter. So say Romad gets 5 bombers on the other side of the map. That could be enormous. Romad going for a 3rd airport. The first of one that's on this side of the map, on the left side of the water. And no port quite yet for Romad, who's adding more barracks. I'm not quite sure where it is. And it's right here. This is a good push from Romad. This army actually ended up being fine. A huge number of units over here capping, but that's should be okay. I mean, Romad is still in a commanding lead here. 1466 income to Nickname's 900. Nickname about to get a big win with sniping that factory. That is huge. It tips the factory producing numbers back into Red's favor. And Romad's already got the red idea by reinforcing and building another factory behind the lines. First bomber's now done for Romad. 1 bomber probably is not enough. And the question is, how many bombers is Romad going to wait for before launching an attack? This is great for blue. And here comes the group up from Nickname. Helicopters clear out this little backstabbing army. Yeah, the number of fronts here is quite intense. So Romad's just going for this gas. With on 1 bomber and then the 2nd striker is probably just clicked relatively close. Okay, so it's every single... Right, they're both in range. So with a striker and a bomber and there's no SAMs, Romad could actually take out that gas, which would actually be huge. Nickname's got a good grouping here. This army has to make miracles happen because I believe... I actually have no idea who's going to win this fight. 3 cruisers, 1 missile boat, and 3 submarines. Not hitting the fight in a concave, unfortunately, a little bit. Fighting against this many boats. I mean, cruisers do super well against other boats in the water, and there are no red cruisers But numbers-wise, this might just be enough. Destroyers crush submarines. Ironically, it was Romad in Twitch chat earlier in the week who had told me that. And there's enough destroyers that this is getting pushed back. Third cruiser showing up. Sending in planes for blue doesn't really help because there's enough missile boats. We'll try to keep both the fights in the picture. And I still would find it hard to say that Nickname is putting themselves in a great position, given the 700 income deficit. But if this army could push through this and kill the factory and the gas, or in the airstrip, maybe there's hope. Gas-wise, both players are about to be in trouble, I think. Bromad's actually fine. Still no ports yet. Blue ends up sniping that gas, which could be huge for a fight like this. If blue jumps on these ships and red needs to run home, the boats might not have enough gas to actually run home and get out of this fight. The fight on the left is going to go in red's favor. Very slowly, but I don't think red's going to be able to push too much on the left side because all the production for blue is going to reinforce this area relatively quickly. These two helicopters are unfortunately on the ground. They would have been able to do a ton of damage against these artillery pieces, but there's just not enough gas for red, who is losing the navy. At this point, Romad sends in the planes. There's plenty of gas to do it. There's not enough missile boats to deal with this many helicopters and strikers at this point. Infantry shooting a submarine, a sight you very often see. And that destroyer just actually sniped. Was that a cruiser? I don't even know. It's kind of wild. This is a huge flank from blue. This is an enormous flank from blue, with 6 artillery pieces. Nickname doesn't really have helicopters anymore. The helicopters are getting transferred over here. I mean, this is going well for red, really. Romad's gonna have to back up. And this could be enormous. Nickname's very good with commandos. They can get slippery, they can change the game. Nickname's down to making 56 money a minute at 931 total income. Romad's making 291 a minute at 1650 about income. I mean, it's very in Romad's favor at this point. I don't want to say unthrowable because I could. But this is a very commanding lead. More production for Romad to close this out, to close out this part of the map. And the game becomes how much this army can do. This is the only spot where Nickname really has the momentum. Unfortunately, these two commandos drop directly into perfectly placed infantry. Three factory and 2 barracks. Romad can just start outspending Nickname and just putting even more factories down if that is what they needed. 5 helicopters from red can definitely change the situation here. If Nickname has enough gas, but I don't think Nickname does, because really, Nickname picked a spot, there was no easy gas. And when that power plant gets taken out and that town gets taken out, that's a lot of investment. And Romad is going to capitalize on that. Helicopters against SAMs. Always fun to watch. The helicopters generally don't do very well in even numbers. There is a SAM buff incoming, or at least it's been proposed and there's some appetite for it, which is that the SAMs will focus the most damaged unit. More so than they do right now. Right now they kind of Ooh, that helicopter needs to buy a lottery ticket. Right now, they kind of just attack the closest plane. So that should make Sam's a little bit better. Mass air from Romad, and all the bombers and strikers are going to clean up this artillery. This is going to reset this attack wave enough that Red no longer has the momentum. And with this perfect number of reinforcing units, Blue is going to start being like to push up to the north here. 2 SAMs is a great play from Nickname to send some of the SAMs over to try to deal with those bombers. And unless there's any big backstab areas where like Nickname has the proxy base in the corner, I don't see it. Or if these helicopters kill both of these airplanes or airports, which they're gonna actually kill one. This is a great snipe by Red. But ground force wise, it's looking very dire. Helicopters have such great DPS because they just sit over the target. And here comes the BBD. Red's going for a BBD. The big Basantos drop. The Basantos base drop, whatever acronym you want to go for, when you drop commandos directly on the high value target. And it works. There you go. The commandos snipe that airport. That's a lot of planes that are lost from Blue. Unfortunately for Nickname, it's not it's a little, you know, a little bit too little too late. There's just now a mass of units for Blue. And it's still going to be hard for Blue to push up into these mountains, especially if there's artillery pieces here. But by the numbers, it's going to get done at some point. Helicopters from Red, I mean, Nickname is doing their best to make a game of this. The helicopters are finding tremendous value. I mean, this group of helicopters were the ones that essentially sniped that one airport. They're going to be able to clear out these SAMs. Two power plants for Nickname on that central North Island. Here comes another BBD. So Nickname, I don't know if on the replay that's... Yeah, so Nickname would have just seen this. Okay, so this is something I noticed when I was playing Nickname on stream the other day, is that instead of just targeting this airport, Nickname actually uses a blue dot to try to circle the airport to put themselves so that Blue can't immediately attack these commandos. Like, they have to run around the airport. It actually buys a lot of time for the units. We'll keep it picture in picture, but these commandos are certainly going to be able to snipe that airport. Especially with another transport ship coming down. This position is falling with the bombers. And with that airport snipe. Which does a lot, but this is still just going to get cleaned up from Romad. GG. Very good game. Very cool to see. Props to both players. Special thank you to Nickname for posting this in the match replays channel in the Discord, and another level of props for posting games that they win and lose, so I never actually know who's going to win. It keeps, you know, it's fun for me to cast games if I don't know the result. Well played. GG. Did this almost die? Yeah, okay, so Romad was starting to get to this island. That's tough. Okay, that's even a more difficult situation. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a great night, day, evening, breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever it is for you. We'll see you around. Thank you for the support. Peace, folks.